I'd like to share a revelation that I've had during my time here. It came to me when I tried to classify your species. I realized that you're not actually mammals. Every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with the surrounding environment, but you humans do not. You move to an area and you multiply, and multiply until every natural resource is consumed. And the only way you can survive is to spread to another area. There is another organism on this planet that follows the same pattern. Do you know what it is? A virus. Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure.
Tuesday, the 16th of December 2014. My name's Paul.
My name's Andy.
And this is possibly our last show before Christmas. Not sure about next week. Got a busy Tuesday. We'll try and squeeze one in.
Yeah.
Do you know, I want to... I often sort of prefix or preface the shows with why we do them. And I think sometimes it's important to get this in at the beginning, because after asking them a number of times over the weeks to, you know, is there any other shows that do what we do?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else speaking like we do? And we've yet to find anybody who you know, has found that person for us, because we can't find them. And I think it's to make it clear why we do it. We don't do it for subscribers.
No.
We don't do it for entertainment.
No.
We don't do it because we want recognition or to appear on other people's shows. We do it for our own personal journey. Mm-hmm. It's a record of our journey. And 12 months ago, I remember thinking to myself, here we are, the end of another year, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking to myself, how much further will I be in a year's time? And I felt, maybe there's not much further to go. Maybe I won't feel like I've taken, you know, the forward steps for 2014. But I have. But for those who just listen to us every now and again, the shows sound the same.
Yes.
They sound the same. It's because, in our opinion, we didn't get the message wrong in the beginning. So
No.
the message isn't actually going to change.
No.
The message is only going to become, we hope, easier to understand
Yes.
as we put into words our understanding as it develops.
Mm-hmm.
Because the system we live in it is remarkably simple how it actually stacks up. The complexity is the relationships within the people between in it. That's the complexity. And of course the poison is the money.
Mm-hmm.
Because the weak people will always be compromised. And it's not always money. The sex, drugs and rock and roll control system has been around for a long time. And it is that preface that I want to put in, that if you don't agree with what we're talking about, that's absolutely fine. If you want to leave a comment, that's absolutely fine. But it doesn't matter to us. Because after, 7, maybe 8 years, next year will be 8, won't it?
It will.
We're now 8 years old coming up to,
Mm-hmm.
and our understanding, it doesn't stay still, does it?
No, and it shouldn't.
And we tried to, before we were just sat waiting for the shop to wrap up and for us to get ready. And I said, the sentence that I'm going to say this evening, or what much I'm going to say, but the sentence that I'm going to say, that I don't think many people actually will understand, that this as above, so below that people quote all the time,
Yeah.
it is applicable to almost everything, but for me the most important application is the ascension, the rising, the empowerment, the uplift is only equal to your depth of understanding.
Yeah.
Because both forces have been applied at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For you to rise, you have to understand depth.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I didn't really understand. Is it climbing the mountain or swimming the oceans? It's both.
Mm-hmm.
It's both.
It is.
And this is what matters. That we don't actually connect them properly. And my questions that I have, that I perhaps didn't have so strongly a year ago, is, what are the majority of people who are doing shows, what are they actually doing? Why are they doing them? Because many say that these are expensive to do, and it's a load of rubbish. They don't cost anything. And second, say it's important that we share this stuff and unite and get together and save the world and that sort of thing, as if we're all superheroes. And but we're not going to turn back the tide at all, because we have very small numbers, and we'll probably lose 1 or 2 subscribers tonight because we don't talk in a way that people want to be to feel uplifted.
No.
They want us to deliver hope.
Yes.
They want us to be the fortune tellers.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they don't pay us, you do spend time with us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't deliver the Hollywood scripting that everybody else tries to, then we're not going to be very popular.
No.
Well, Hollywood is what caught you out a long time ago, and Hollywood is just the latest version of the Bible, and that is the hero programming. You can be the hero, you can help blind to see, you can cause miracles, you can take on the bankers. Well, yeah, but they crucified him.
Mm-hmm.
But Hollywood changed the ending, didn't they?
They did.
Just like Christmas. Now, Christmas, is now well ingrained into our memories, and it is our first memory when we're children, isn't it? We gauge the years by Christmas. But Christmas has just been contrived by the Catholic Church and the Christian Church
Mm-hmm.
from what was a pagan religion.
Yes.
And the dates have all just been mashed into, they've been altered and pulped in, pulpit and altar.
Yeah.
And they've just all been incorporated into the calendar we have today.
Mm-hmm.
None of it is biblically written to be true. None of it. It doesn't exist in the Old Testament. It doesn't exist in the New Testament. It's just written. And if we could ever understand that this is just a story, and to argue about the times before we were here, it serves no purpose. Because we get a present every day, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one that we live in.
Yeah.
That's the gift we're given, to decode the present that we live in. But should we watch TV, should we read newspapers, and should we talk to other people, they tell us their version of their present. They're very busy describing to us what present they've received today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping people can keep up, because this isn't a complicated level of conversation at all. Well, while we're listening to other people's presents, we're not decoding our own. We're not taking our own, because we're not taking it to pieces. We're not discovering what present it is. And the thing is, it's the same present every day until you recognise it. And then the present starts to change. It starts to update and teach you about what it is that the day has got to teach you. But while you listen to other people's, you're never going to learn anything for yourself. I hear a lot of people talking about the awake process as if the self-diagnosis that they are is all that's needed. This is rubbish. This is absolutely rubbish. If you're still arguing with people, you're not awake. If you still think Facebook's your saviour, you're not awake. If you still think you can turn the banking system and the politicians around you, you're not really awake. This is your own personal nightmare. And I'm going to warn people that this is what happens. Mm-hmm. And you and I have been through it.
Yeah.
But you mustn't stay there. You must keep coming. You must keep coming. Otherwise you get stuck in the amaze. And when you get stuck in a maze, you really just look for what's next. What's next? What's next? You're not trying to get out.
What's round the next corner?
Yeah, you're not trying to get out.
Is it this way? Is
exactly.
it that way?
Yeah. You see, getting out, the freedom, the freedom that you're looking for, is just the freedom to think freely. and speak freely. And people say, yeah, I know that. I say, but how often do you do it? Because losing the chains is not caring at all what people think about you. If you're in an employment hierarchy or a family hierarchy or some other armed forces type setup or whatever, how you act directly affects how people react around you. Well, if you need to be liked and popular, this stuff isn't going to do it for you. This stuff is not going to make you liked and popular. It's going to make you different. And if you carry on, people are going to think that you're a bit peanuts.
And in fact, it does make you feel a bit reclusive.
The hermit is something you have to fight against.
It is. It is something you have to fight against. You want to shut yourself off from everybody else because you look at them and you think, I can't. This is a level of conversation I've had before, and I don't want to have again. We should have got past that, and those distractions become more and more apparent to you, don't they?
Yep.
And you're trying to avoid them all the time. But as you're avoiding them, you're avoiding people as well, and social situations that you don't want to be in. Invited out to places, you think, I don't want to go. I won't enjoy it because the conversation will be childish, and we won't really discuss anything that I want to talk about. I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, but then we get this idea that we're somehow superior.
Yes,
and we're not really.
We're not
really. We just know different stuff.
Yeah,
this is where we keep falling flat on our proverbials, isn't it? We now know different stuff.
Yeah,
but it's hard to share because it doesn't have a reward.
No,
it doesn't have something. For the listener, it doesn't have a reward as such.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at Question Time last week. Let's look at Russell Brand and Nigel Farage. Let's just do a little bit of... I don't bother with Question Time a great deal, but I did watch it. And it confirmed everything that I know Question Time is for, which is we put forward... we put in front of you a chairman of the panel, and I think there's about 5 representatives. The main part is Russell Brand. And... sure enough, the audience get to ask the questions, and Question Time have stopped pretending that the guests, the actual panel, don't know the questions in advance. They've stopped pretending that. Dimbleby used to say that for years. The panel don't know what questions are going to be asked, and then you can see the panel referring to notes they've made regarding the questions that are being asked. So at least they've managed to drop that pretense. The audience get to ask the questions, and the audience were, to some extent, politically active, because that's really where you sort of play go on Question Time. And the answers are given. The talking heads deliver their answers, and the audience, because they get quite a range of flavours, the audience are placated because their man or their girl has answered in a satisfactory way, so they're placated. But now what we see, or now what you can see, should you just hang on a moment, all the talking heads have done is given you an answer that you're comfortable with, so you can now go and argue with the rest of the audience who's right. We never go the last step and say, they never do what they say anyway, do they? So they can actually say what they want, can't they?
They can say
actually
exactly
say
what they
anything they want,
want,
really,
yeah.
Because they never do it. Sometimes you hear the word, this is a manifesto promise that we intend to keep, which clearly tells you there are a number on there that they've no intention of keeping. If those talking heads really wanted to engage an audience and rock the political establishment, then there are certain things that they could have done and could have said. But they don't, because they realise that, like I've just started this conversation with, if you live and work in a hierarchy, the one thing you can't do is rock the boat too much.
No.
Because, you see, you want to climb. You want to climb in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn how the system works. And there's things you can say and there's things that you can't say. And for all Russell Brand, the media whore and prostitute that he is, did say a few interesting lines. The audience, because of his Jesus Messiah, Che Guevara, and obviously he's a media whore. Because of who he is, it's hard to take him seriously, isn't it? His the things he's done in the past, the things he's said in the past, and the silly... He's in it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, he probably feels he's doing something worthwhile. But it's a cash cow for him, isn't it?
I would have thought
That's
so.
all it really is.
We've all got to pay bills. At the
He
end of the
always
day.
seems to turn up at the protests. He doesn't miss many. And he's always got the latest point of view plastered over Facebook and Twitter and YouTube or whatever. I'm sure he's not spending his days and nights studying the system to the extent that others do. But it's not about Russell Brand. I'm not interested about Russell Brand. He's just no talking head that gives me an answer. And all I have to do is believe that he could possibly do it. And of course, I don't believe he's going to do anything like that. So the audience are now left with the placated because the answer they've wanted given by their representative is acceptable to them.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can all go fight amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
And the panellists have done their job. They all go to the free bar after question time and have a jolly good laugh.
Yeah. Well, who springs to mind in my time was Bob Geldof. He did the same thing with Margaret Thatcher. Had a bit of a sparring thing with Margaret Thatcher.
Well, look at Billy Idol. Look at all the
yeah.
look at Johnny, all the activists.
And they end up selling themselves out and going there and getting the knighthood.
But they also on bended knee, yes, your Majesty.
Sir Bob.
Exactly.
Who you bobbing up and down with now?
But just to complete the question time thing is, if they really wanted to make a difference, any one of the panellists, but Farage or Brand would have been, really quite able to do this. When asked certain questions, they would have said, "Well, I can give my answer, but my answer doesn't matter. It's what these people want. It's what these people want because they're paying.
You're facing the electorate.
They're paying, and we are serving their needs. So it doesn't matter what I say. It's my interaction with these people. So let's do a democracy thing, shall we? Let's ask them, is the country too full, and should we regulate immigration? Well, if they just ask for a show of hands, in the way that democracy is run in this country, what the panel say after that is negated, because the vote has been taken. So for them to go against our wishes, is now
invariably do.
But they don't say they do.
No,
they apologise because they couldn't, blame somebody else.
Yes, we couldn't do that because of the last Labour government did this.
We want someone to sit there and say, "Oh, you put us in charge, now do as you're bloody told," because that's what they really think. That is what they really think. But no, they didn't do that, did they?
No.
Okay, secondly, does any of the panel ever have any intention, right, of actually telling us how the money system works, how we can never get out of it, and how it's designed, slowly but surely, to bankrupt us all? Did they do that?
No.
No, they didn't, did they? And I've said this before about Mr. Farage, and they're laughing at us, by the way. They know, the majority on that panel know that 40 years ago, we were sold out by Edward Heath to Europe. And 40 of the past 40 years, slowly but surely, they have deceptively and quietly and secretly been hollowing out Parliament. They've been selling our country down the river and the people and the future. You and I are going to live in what's going to be known as a postcode as UKE. UK Area E. And over the past 40 odd years, they've been selling us out bit by bit, and they bloody well know they have. We are controlled now by a European Brussels. No, we didn't elect them.
No, we didn't.
It's a bloody dictatorship.
Yeah.
And it's also 100 years out of date. Well, the government we want now is 100 years late. What was suitable in 1920, which is when they started putting this stuff together. Right now we're in 2014, which is why it looks so out of date, and why it's going to collapse. It's going to actually fail. But unfortunately, it's going to take us all bloody with it. We've got 500 million people in Europe who are going to lose everything. The United States of Europe is going to bankrupt everybody, as it's designed to do.
So you have to throw yourself on its mercy. You have nothing left.
Well, look around. We now have...
What's happening?
Well, remember, 4p for porridge. It just costs 4 pence for a bowl of porridge. Who can't make porridge? And don't you take our Bollinger money away.
No.
We're drinking Bollinger. We're not drinking that other bloody rubbish. Bollinger, please. We're not taking a pay cut.
I say my porridge costs £20 and 4p because I mix it with champagne.
Can I have some more? And the third thing I've said before as well, if Farage wants to win the next election, he doesn't have to worry about his policies.
No, he doesn't.
He just has to come up with the next line. After 4 times previously been told, you're going to be given a choice in or out of Europe, 4 times you've previously been told and lied to. Now I'm going to do it a 5th time. I'm going to tell you that should you put my party in power, within 3 months, I will offer you an in-out, no-messing election. And if I don't, I'm going to personally give £100 to everybody who voted UKIP by way of an apology. He'd win by a bloody landslide. By a landslide. They can't do that because we can't get out of Europe.
No.
We are part of Europe and we can't, in the way that it's set up, we can't get out. Now, I know people will say, well, if enough of us stand against it, then we could change these things. Yeah, but this is all Disney stuff. This isn't going to happen this way, I'm afraid.
No.
This isn't going to happen this way. The only way that we can make any difference is in what we do. Our little lives, in the big scale of things, are not really very significant unless we make them so. I can't get into any position of recognised power. I can't get up in the council. I haven't got the face for it, I haven't got the voice for it, I haven't got the background for it, and I haven't got the connections for it. They won't allow me to get anywhere.
No.
Politics isn't a place for an honest person.
It isn't. It's a closed shop, isn't it? It's a networking.
Mean, we are going to get involved locally to try and at least say that we do walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. But I don't expect to affect change in a great way. But I expect to learn how it works, why it works, and why we are so easily deceived. Because by the time you get to be a politician, and I'm not going to say they're all bad and they're all, whatever, but I'm going to tell you something. If the majority of us don't trust them and don't like them, have a listen to what they think of you.
It's weeks like this that make me glad that I'm no longer in politics, because, I remember...
Do you know, I think everyone feels the same way.
The truth is, the one thing I could not stand about being an MP were my constituents. You may loathe members of Parliament, but it is as nothing as to how we feel about you.
So, changing the subject a little bit then, because we had a 5-minute break there, so we thought, okay, where should we go next? Because we don't write anything down. Last week I said, we'll do our Christmas show next week. Yeah. And people have thought, oh, we're not going to do about Christmas. Well, we're exactly the same as you everywhere. If you want to know about Christmas, I've told you about Christmas. It's a contrived, now commercialised affair that's designed to make us spend money and give presents to people that we don't really like, and the presents they don't really need.
They don't really want.
Not really. No. And if we could somehow overcome the commercialism of Christmas, we could possibly enjoy it again a little bit. Our family decided a long time ago, and it was me that pushed for this. And eventually we said, this present lack, just give it up as a bad job. There's nothing I need. There's nothing I can think that I can buy you that you need. Let's overcome this desire to buy presents, and let's just go with spend some time together. Let's make a promise that we spend a little time with each other during the year, instead of just meeting up at weddings, deaths, and Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's replacing the word want for need, isn't it? That's what you've got to do.
We really need it? We need people.
We do.
We don't need presents.
No.
We need people, and we need them to love us, and we need to love them. But this love thing, I'm going to sound a cynical, grumpy old git here, but I don't mean to. I really don't mean to do that. But what is it about this love lark? It lasts such a short time. It attracts, and then it connects, and then it makes us reproduce. And then what? And I know people say, well, you grow into a relationship, and you mature together, and you from the two individuals that you were, you grow into one successful relationship. This is the mating, the marrying of male and female in the ultimate wedding. Right, that's the Disney version. Right?
Yeah.
That's the poet's version. Look around. Look around, why don't you? Do we see much evidence of that today? We see an awful lot of people wanting that, and then they fail. So someone's telling fibs, aren't they? Is somebody telling fibs?
Certainly are.
Because when they hold hands and say, till death us do part, that must be actually reworded now, do you think?
Yeah.
Because it's not death, is it? It's till death us do part.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we see this mistake being played all around us? How can we see, 70% of first-time marriages now statistically fail? How can we see that figure? How can we not understand, or at least we usually do understand, what's happened in that relationship, but we don't improve our own? Before we started the show this evening, we actually confirmed something that we've confirmed quite regularly now, don't we? The women are broken.
Mm.
Now, this sounds like we're blaming the women, but the men, they don't have a lot to be proud of either, do they?
No.
Not really.
No, they ask for all they get, really.
So the social engineering changes that have come along, and here's where the weak say the next line. These things have been done to us. We have been brainwashed into doing this. We do not live like this. We would be different if they hadn't done this to us. That's the weak, dumb, stupid, who don't read much. Has there ever been a gun to your head? Did anybody make you do anything that you didn't want to? Or did you actually follow the crowd and try and beat your pals?
Or think if I do this, there'll be something in it for me.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who would accept the next sentence unless they thought about it for a little while. Because everything that happens to you in life is reliant on three things. It's always three, isn't it? The actions that you took, the actions that you should have took but you didn't take, or the fact that you got it wrong because you didn't understand the rules in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, in other words, every success, every failure, and every circumstance in your life is down to you.
It is. It is down to you.
So if we spend our time blaming everybody else, then we're innocent, aren't we? We're actually innocent of all charges, and can move along and ruin the next relationship we come along.
And listening to other people, I'm sick of hearing this line. Oh, we've been together so many years and we've never had a crossword, you know. That is the biggest lie going.
Rubbish.
Absolute rubbish.
Somebody is somebody's slave.
That is the only way. There's got to be a certain amount of compromise. We're into our 28th year at the moment, me and my wife, and the amount of crosswords we've had, and over silly little things, different
and you
little
never,
things.
You never finish them crosswords. They're always left undone, aren't they?
You don't know. And these people that say, oh, we have a row, but we always make up before we go to bed because you don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning. I don't go to bed. I go to bed and turn over, and she knows I'm upset if I turn over and I don't say good night, and wake up in the morning and it's still going on.
Is it always the same routine? You start off with the greatest hits, and then you move on to the newest versions, and then you go back to the old faithfuls. Is it always the same arguments?
It is, and over silly, stupid stuff.
It's the invisible fight for the steering wheel that doesn't exist. But coming back to it, this love lark, God, it's frustrated poets, writers, and millions and billions of people around the world, hasn't it? So I don't expect to demystify it at all.
Pop stars and Hollywood stars, how many marriages are they on?
The thing is that the word glove has got the word love in it, hasn't it?
Well,
and glove is what we bloody box with. So I have to say that I ain't sure that we're right in the way that we describe this brainwashing, social engineering.
No.
I do understand financially we are being the women were coerced to work a long time ago, but that's because of all the new technology and the new kitchen stuff from the cars and the holidays, all the things that we weren't available to us, prior to that.
Yeah,
the 60s brought us, a technological revolution of things that we didn't have access to. Now we have houses, cars, holidays, pensions, that sort of thing. We didn't worry about those things 20 years earlier. So we were only ever sold. Everything's for sale. Everything's for your journey, and we were sold out.
Yeah.
We did. We sold our soul on because we wanted it. And we never figured, because we've been told by Mummy and Daddy from cradle to grave. We'll fix you, and we'll pay you when you get old, and you've nothing to worry about. And if life deals you a tough hand, the welfare state, the socialist service that you live in, will make sure that you're okay. Well, that allowed us to live a life of carefree want.
Yeah.
Abandon. Didn't matter. Didn't matter at all. Even the fact that they stole all the money off us in 1971, that caused a bit of grief in the 70s. It took a lot of... The 70s were a rocky road for those that can remember it.
Yeah.
But got through it, we did.
We did. Yeah.
But the money had halved. The value of our money had halved.
Yeah.
Which is why the financial implications of the 70s are still being felt now. But coming back to this love lark, do you think we do this love thing right? Because if we love something, we think we own it, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That's the problem.
You can't own another person.
No, you can't own another person.
So if we look at a word that actually connects with love, which is T-R-U-S-T, well, you know the alternative of that, which is T-R-U-S-S-E-D. Well, which is it?
Yeah, which one is it? Yeah.
Which one are you really applying to them?
Yeah.
Do you only love them if they do as they're told?
I know.
So you do want a slave. You see what I mean? Does everybody want a slave? Is the system giving us? Is the system in the future going to build us our own personal slave? Yes. As they enslave us, we enslave our children, and eventually, technology will enslave us, and that'll be the end of it.
It will.
And we'll actually buy technology to enslave ourselves, as we are doing now.
Yeah.
You see how that works? Do we have a death wish? Does humanity have a joint death wish? Does it know? I played the cancer clip at the beginning. Do we have a death wish? Do we actually know that we're doing things that we shouldn't?
Self-destruct button.
But we don't care.
We don't know.
Because our lives are so short that we'll enjoy them no matter what.
Exactly that.
And the certain
comes into play.
You know, is that what's happening?
I'll enjoy it while I'm here.
Because look around.
Bugger the rest.
Because that's the answer from people, isn't it? Now, we've been told that we've been made to think this way. We've been programmed to think this way. I'm not going to argue with that. There is an element of the way we speak is because of the way we've been taught to think. But over the past 12 months, we've matured a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
We understand this system a lot better. It is so obvious when you can see it, but so complex in its relationships. But it's easy because those relationships are the ones you have all around you. You just have to study them better, and the relationship that you really need to study is the one you have with yourself. And no one does that. I'm awake, so now I'm qualified to tell everybody else what to do. You whatever. How's that going?
Yeah.
You don't have any friends doing that, do you?
Well, just we said to ourselves we'd ask people if we do have people on as guests on the show again. We're going to ask the right questions, and if Russell Brand was sat here now and we'd brought him on the show, and my first thing would be to say, you and Katy Perry, what really happened there? Come on, Russell, what really happened? You were poles apart. What actually brought you together?
It's the spiritual stuff. That's how I find.
It's
the spiritual stuff that he goes with. You know, he makes them feel special. Everyone wants that. He makes them feel unique. He says he wants to build them up. He wants to make them a better person. He wants to show them another side of the world. Well, who doesn't want that? Because that's what every bugger does on here.
Yeah.
That's why you're bloody listening to him, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what, how that relates to my gran and granddad. Right? They're both then gone now, bless them, on my dad's side. My granddad had an affair. And my dad found out he asked my granddad if he could borrow his blazer to go out one night. And my granddad said, no, you can't, no, you're not borrowing the blazer. And my dad, while he wasn't looking, went and got his blazer and went out in his blazer. While he was out in his blazer, he put his hand in the pocket and he pulled out a love letter. And when he went home and confronted my granddad and said, what's going on here? And I mean, my nan found out about it and all this, that and the other. And I was only a young child. I didn't know about this. I only found about it as I was older. And I never believed that he could have done that. But now I realise that he did, and he had done. And my nan stuck by him. For whatever reason, she stuck by him. But they had a relationship where my nan was the housewife, and my granddad he went out to work and earned the money. And he paid for the car, and he did the garden, and my nan did the washing, and she did the ironing, she did the cooking. She had a little bit of the cleaning.
Blue jobs and pink jobs.
Yeah. And my granddad did the garden and mowed the lawn, and all those kind of things. And then my nan did the decorating, because granddad couldn't. He wasn't a painter. He were
in the old days, it was blue jobs and pink jobs.
He was a bricklayer. He couldn't do painting and decorating, lad. And but my nan did all that. But towards the end, my nan got she got brain cancer, brain tumour, and they knew that she only had probably two years to live, and that came to fruition that she did only have 2 years. But in those 2 years, they were both retired by then. My nan taught me granddad how to cook, how to bake bread, how to do things, how to do a roast dinner, all these things he'd never done before. All he'd ever done was done some bacon and egg on a morning. That's the only cooking he'd done, and he used to probably do that on a Sunday morning. But it was so nice for them to come together and do that, and she did that for him because she knew that she wasn't going to be here long enough to carry on. Showed him how to use the washing machine, so he'd learned all those skills in later life, and that was nice to see that there was forgiveness there on both sides, and that's what a marriage should be, shouldn't it? Really, it should be forgiveness and this is what was nice at the end. They were complimenting each other towards the end. Even more so than they'd done before. Now, they had complimented each other, but why? One was the wage earner, and the other one was the... In fact, each a slave. Yeah. A slave to each other, really.
Well, that's the idea, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the idea. We all think this freedom lark is something that we don't already have. We do have it, but we need to work at it.
It comes at a cost.
It's expensive.
That is the problem.
It takes a lot of time.
It is not. It doesn't come. Freedom doesn't come free. Unfortunately,
well, it does, as long as you don't want anything. This is the tricky bit. We still have, and I'm not going to call them gurus because that makes them out to be more than they are, and it's rubbish. They're not gurus at all. The lands of confusion. I was accused of having very little time for the Freeman movement by somebody. I'm not a supporter. I had very little time for it, and I was happy to correct the message that I received and said, I actually have the highest regard for the Freeman movement, but there's a couple of questions that I need to ask them. What do you do? What's your skill? And how do you pay your bills? You're not very popular in the Freeman movement if you ask those questions, You're not very popular.
No.
And I said...
We quickly found that out.
And I said that, I don't trust you then.
No.
I don't trust you. You're a bunch of... You're misrepresenting. And apparently, it's because it's all free. It's all prepaid by the 1974 Consumer Trading Act, point 3, paragraph B or something like that. It's bloody rubbish. I had a guy who I challenged spend about an hour with me on a Tuesday afternoon some time ago. And I said, okay, prove to me that it's all free. He had this one little article from 1974, the Consumer Trading Act. He got me to the article. He got me to the point. I read it through, took the definitions of the words, realised that he was defining the word wrongly. I told him he was defining the word wrongly, and he said, I was wrong. That was the basis of how everything should be free. That one incorrect definition of a word. Oh my God. How lost. How lost. Lost is the past tense of loser. In the game of life, if you still think that it's going to be free, it's not going to be free. If you want to take something, you're going to have to fight for it. Because there isn't a blade of grass on this wonderful planet that belongs to any of us slaves. Not a bloody blade of grass.
No.
But it doesn't matter. Because if we don't do what we should do, which is actually either become the representatives for our area or challenge who represents us in our area, then nothing else matters.
No. I had a chat with the butcher, Weatherhead's Butchers in Pateley Bridge. You won't mind mentioning his name. Andrew there's the owner of it. It was Weatherhead's and son, and he's the son. He's actually the grandson, so it's been passed through 3 generations. He said Sunday night, he says, me and the wife were up till 4 o'clock in the morning, and he says, doing all these blooming allergy things that we've got to do. You've got to list everything that you sell in a product and that's allergy.
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of it. I might do the same thing.
And
he's left it a bit late, like.
He said
because it was due Monday morning. He'd left it something that it was a bit late.
They were trying to. They'd been working on it, but they do work hard. They're there. It's a butcher, and he is there. He's Andrew. He's the boss.
We did know about this legislation about 5 months ago, by the way.
Yeah, and I just said to him, I said, Andrew, what? You're in a butchers' guild. What if all you butchers got together and said, hang on a minute, this shop opened in established 1876.
It don't matter. The 21-year-old who makes the rules to wreck your life won't be listening.
No. I said, what if you all got together and said, no, we're not doing that.
There's too much power now. The council too much power.
I know, but if you all stood together and said, no,
it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
It doesn't matter. They've too much power because we see it as a local council. It's not. It's actually a regional assembly that's been actually put together, and it's European.
Those
people they're in
because it's 9 regions now. Britain is in 9 regions.
We're in UK Area E is where we are, fella. I'll tell you now. We don't see it because it's been such a slow process of replacing who we know with who they want, and they've been shuffling the deck for a long time. And we're moving to regional assemblies, and we won't even vote for them anymore. The councils will just slowly morph into a regional assembly, and they'll be accountable to Europe. They're behind time, actually. They were hoping to have this done by about 2013, but it doesn't matter because they'll get there when they get there. And the money system, you hear all the time, it's going to collapse, it's going to collapse, it's going to collapse. The oil price is always a precursor to the stock market collapse. You got stocks and shares, have you? It doesn't matter to you, though. It doesn't matter.
No.
You see, the people who should be panicking about the market collapsing are the people who are invested in the stocks and shares casino. Because all sales are rigged. All sales.
Yeah.
And it's a rigged
Got
casino.
To keep them up there.
The game is fixed. So this is they're preparing the next robbery of the middle class. But unfortunately, it actually works out that it's your pension funds that lose. They actually are stealing money out of your pension funds. Are they prepared to crash the market again? Whatever. We're not fortune tellers in that way, are we? We're not fortune tellers. We actually say what we see, because that's the reality of how and who we are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're shown. What we're shown is others present.
Stress tests.
Probably. Or shock treatment or something they call it, don't they? I can't remember. Breaking news.
I was just thinking about the stress test that the banks have just had.
Yeah. Can we get away with it?
Yeah. What if there were a plunging house price of 35% and the interest rate was at 4%?
We've got a plunge protection team.
Vulnerable.
There's a plunge protection team, apparently, for the American stock market, and I'm sure ours has the same thing. I mean, I looked at the FTSE index today, and it's
not called Cliff, is he?
I leaned over, I think. But I bend over. But I looked at the FTSE this morning just as a curiosity, actually, at the end of the year. I always seem to do this. And the FTSE was at 6,100 and something. And I look back at 2000, 1999, 2000, and it's at 6,000 something. So that's 14 years of... The FTSE changes the FTSE 100 changes companies as a company becomes smaller or less profitable, they get chucked out, and the profitable ones get chucked in. So you actually look at the FTSE and you see that over the years, there's 5% profit on that year, 14% profit on that year, 3% down on that year. So there are fluctuations within those 100 companies that change. So the markets can make a profit, but the overall value of the top 100 companies that are listed on the FTSE is the same. It is the same. So if you bought an equal share in all 100 companies in 1999 or 2000 or whatever, and you thought that amount of shares you bought were put to one side, and you came to check them today, a percentage of those shares would now be outside the 100, which means those companies had contracted or been bought out or whatever. So your shares would be at a stop there. And the shares that you had in were probably worth no more than what they were when you bought them. So it's very hard to know what to do for those that do want to invest, especially the older people now, because interest rates are never coming back. Those interest rates are never coming back unless you're prepared to give them to Russia. Yeah. Russia's about 17% today, aren't they? But I think we could all forecast that the oil price was going to cause trouble, along with the fracking in the West, and the Russians selling cheap gas to Europe. The oil companies, the Saudis and the OPEC countries, they said, we're being squeezed out here. We're being squeezed out here. It's about time we taught these people a lesson. We'll just lower all to the price of where they can't produce anything else. Yeah,
I heard one expert saying, and it wasn't so long ago, it were running out, wasn't it? We need some greener energy, and we say this oil expert says these lower oil prices, it'll have a devastating effect on the green energy systems. He says it'll make them all far more expensive than oil.
Which will be fine, because that jacks up the West energy costs.
There you go.
So we can't bloody win.
No.
It's the same thing, isn't it? Always works out badly in their favour.
And
it's a genius system,
I'm
isn't
shouting
it?
at the telly, when's it going to run out then? When were it going to it were running out? It were in short supply.
It's going to run out in 1958, I think it was.
Oh, 58,
that was the first promise.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, 1950s it was running out, the 1970s it was running out.
70s, I remember that.
Yeah, and then there was the 80s where we got the end.
That public information film, Get Your Foot Off the Throttle. He had a big foot, didn't he? Big clown's foot on the throttle, revving it up at lights.
The stuff we'll believe.
I know.
The stuff we'll bloody believe. We are so damn stupid.
We are.
How much do you think in modern day conversation is accurate? Bloody none of it, I don't think.
No.
None of it. We just talk about things we don't know. We've got an opinion on bloody everything, and the internet has just made it 10 times worse.
It has, yeah. Doing exactly what it was meant to do.
Well, I chucked away my mobile phone a little while ago, a couple of years ago now, 2.5 years ago, because it was annoying me. And I knew it was spying on me, and I knew it was tracking me, and I thought, you know what, I don't actually need it. I reckon I can get away without it. And O2 messed up the coverage here a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They had all sorts of coverage problems. And I realised that I actually liked it when it wasn't on.
Yeah.
I actually liked not being available. So I said, I'm just going to cancel my contract and be done with it. And it's been a pleasure. And what I can remember, and what I do see today, is the ability with the internet and mobile phones to conduct a secret life. To actually... you can't resist temptation in the way that you could before, because the first thing with the internet and mobile phones, it's much harder to detect lies. In a face-to-face situation like you and I are now, should you be telling a lie, and a jolly big one, your body language would to some extent give it away a little bit, and your courage to actually tell a lie would be greatly tested. So it wouldn't be difficult for me to say, are you sure you're telling me that you're not making that up, are you? But you can't see them, can you? And if you look at the interaction that kids have now, and you read a little bit about what kids use text for on the internet for, I mean, you remember your day. I mean, let's be honest here. We all found that magazine at a certain special age, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
You know, was it 11? Was it 12? Was it 13? Was it 14?
Yeah.
But somehow it turned up, didn't it? There was some say that your parents actually left it for you to find because it was easier than teaching themselves. You'd find the magazine, then they'd find the magazine and say, well, let's have a chat about that now you've read this. And you could see parents, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes sense that you find the magazine, you read it, then your parents find it, then you can have the conversation.
Our code word for those magazines was Nif Mags.
No. I know why, and I'm not asking you. No.
Thinking
No, don't do it. No.
You did it.
That reminds me of the old joke I've told you about Bill and Harriet, an old couple, and they've been married for 50-some years. And you know what? They still hold hands and they still smile when they see each other across a crowded room. And when they tell people stories, and they tell stories that when they were young, and they were courting and before they got married, they used to have a secret code word that they used to put into conversations that would let each other know that they were feeling a bit frisky. And when they got home, it was going to be fun. And the word was washing machine. And they would insert that word into conversations at dinner parties and dances, and nobody else knew except them that this was going to be a good night. And even after they got married, maybe not as often, but still often enough, they would still have fun with the word washing machine. And this night they were laid in bed together, and Bill rolled over and he whispered into her. He said, washing machine. And she kept her eyes closed and she thought, I'm not pretending I'm asleep. And after a few minutes, she had her eyes closed. She was still pretending to be asleep, and he turned round and he'd not tried again. And she thought, after all these years being married, he still finds me attractive. And he doesn't ask very often. I can't remember the last time that he said that to me. I think I should have responded. I think it's such a lovely compliment if I think about it properly. So she opened her eyes and rolled over. She said, Bill. She said, washing machine. And he said, oh dear. Oh, he said, no, he said. And she said, what's wrong? He said, you're too late. It was only a small load, so I did it by hand. One of my favourite jokes. Coming back to mobile phones, it's actually because I've watched Men, Women and Children, which is the latest film out to forecast our own demise because of technology. And it's not something I'm going to argue with, because technology is making us different. Mm-hmm. But we're not fighting it. We're not fighting it in a way. It's been introduced in a way that we're actually embracing it. Mm-hmm. And the film makes some very important points that I'm not sure are really widespread at the moment, but they are something that I've experienced. And that is that mums and dads and the kids are actually using the internet and mobile phones to not just to flirt, but to try and improve their lives. They're looking for happiness outside of the family home, mums and dads. And they're quite, they're quite open to having affairs, if you see what I mean. They're quite, it's so easy to have them. There's so many dating sites, and well, anybody on a dating site who says they're single, the stats are that about half, they're not single at all. They're married people looking for extramarital fun. Mm-hmm. But the film makes a really important point. Now, I'm not going to spoil it because it's not actually a very good film, unless you're watching it for what the film's message is. The film itself, I think, could have been a lot better. Disappointed in it, yes, but watched it anyway and got the messages that it gave out. It's the younger people that are being changed by technology, and we know that because they love it more than we ever are going to. And what it allows them to do, it allows them to, in our younger days, do you remember the most difficult thing to do was to ask a girl to dance at a disco, or ask her if she wanted to meet you for coffee, or whatever. It was really hard for us to pluck up the courage to do that.
Was the courage you needed?
But it was part of growing up, wasn't it? Mm. You had to overcome that shyness, that embarrassment, that fear of rejection. If you wanted to meet a girl and go out, at some point you had to overcome that.
Or get a pal to ask it.
Well, yeah, my pal, right, fancy show. But we learnt social etiquette a little bit like that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was always it was nerve-wracking but exciting. It was the game that we played all the way through secondary school, really, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, school was secondary to what we wanted to do, which was meet girls, date girls, buy motorbikes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the school was just got in the way. It was the social hierarchy that was being established, and the way that we interacted with it. We were being taught how to manage in big numbers, and to respond to timetables and bells, and people in superior positions, and don't ask questions, do as you're told, and answer on demand.
Mm-hmm.
So we were being indoctrinated into the way of the world. But let's not do that. People have done school enough. What I'm trying to say here is that the young people now use text messages, sat next to each other, or up and down the corridor. This is the way they communicate, and because it's text messages, and because the embarrassment, the actual, the shyness, the fear of rejection now is hidden from everybody else. They can be much more brave in a text message.
Yeah.
They can say, "Well, I really fancy you. I've been watching you for ages." They can say things like that, whereas before, at 11, 12 and 13, I want to tell her, but I can't. They can say things in text messages, so they're much more forthright. But it's not the compliment that the girl wants to receive, because her biggest compliment that you pay her is that you were prepared to look a fool doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas text messages don't do that. They can be so blasé in their text messages. You were looking good today. Fancy a coffee? It's not the way we did it, is it?
No,
we were much more formal. A bit more. It was more difficult for us to do that.
Well, the way I understand it, they're using WhatsApp as well, which is an app,
and Tumblr,
and you can attach a clip or a YouTube clip or a photograph of.
But there's no fear of failure now.
Whatever you want to upload to that photograph.
Yeah, but it's the insurance salesman. They knocking enough doors, one will say yes.
Yeah.
Remember the courage that we used to have was found in glasses.
Yeah.
She's maybe not as attractive as she's going to be later. I'll have another one of these and she'll get better. So it's new. It's changed how it's actually the approach. Is it better? Is it easier? Yes, it is, but it's also different. It's different because they can say things in text messages that you wouldn't say in social company, but now they do. Their access to pornography is very much different to ours.
I was going to say,
We talked about the magazine, whereas anybody who knows how to use the internet, there's no filters on here.
No.
There's no filters at all. I mean, the actual men, women, and children actually use the #1 pornography site, and you can clearly see which one it is. And you can go on your computer and you can say, "Oh, it's called the Pornhub." So you just put Pornhub in your computer, bang, there it is. There's no age checks. There's no filters. There's no. So even if you didn't know which one you were looking for, there it is. And there's one called RedTube as well. Am I interested in pornography? No, I'm 50-odd years old. I'm way past that rubbish. But it exists. It exists.
And it exists for a
and
reason.
The kids love it because their hormones are raging because nature is making them do this to reproduce.
And the level that it's gone to. We were talking about a picture of a girl maybe topless and bottomless. It wasn't films.
Well, the film...
And it wasn't everything, all-encompassing,
but
everything and everything.
I was going to say that the variety wasn't there, was it?
No.
It was nudity.
It was nude.
But it wasn't sex.
No.
There's the difference.
It wasn't sex.
It
it
was
was
nudity.
nudity. Yeah.
I mean, a woman's body has always been attractive to men. We cannot stop looking at them. But it was never sex in the magazines.
No.
It was just nudity.
It was.
On the internet, it's different. And the film again makes the point that because young men, who obviously pornography is designed for them, to be honest, moreover than anybody else, it's designed for them. Because young men are watching what you and I would call, regular sex, as it were. Well, they see them. That's how their mums and dads did it. So they look for, well, what else? How else is it done? And this sort of thing. And because everything's available, just keep typing, you'll find it. They have, the film makes the point that they can't actually interact with girls in a way that makes sex successful. They can look after their own needs, but when it comes to the relationship and the intimacy and the privacy and the very reason that you've chosen that girl, it doesn't exist. So the guy can't perform.
No.
And these guys, 14, 15, 16, 17, however old the characters in the film are, we're not clearly told how old they are. We're led to believe they're about 16, 17, I think. The guy can't perform because he hasn't. There's no intimacy or privacy or excitement. There's no challenge that he's overcome. If you see what I mean. Mm-hmm. She's just said, well, would you like? She says, yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah, we'll have a go, shall we? It's so matter of fact that regardless of what you see in the films and regardless of what all the bravado guys say, I'm going to tell you something now that I know to be true to people who speak properly. Guys can't just have sex with anybody. It doesn't work like that. Anybody who says it does, they're lying to you. It doesn't work like that. Guys can have sex with somebody who they find attractive and who they trust and feel comfortable being intimate with. And that takes a little time. It takes a little time. Mm-hmm. And you say, I know people who don't do that. Well, I'll just ask you. Would you have sex with them? No. Are they men? No. So don't worry about them. The people you're looking for, they've got feelings and needs just as the guys... guys have needs and feelings just like girls do. And it's important for a guy to feel that she does love him. It's true. He won't look after and protect her if she doesn't love him. No. Today it's been so mashed up with watching TV that we are confused as to what a relationship should be. Yeah. But we're not really. No. We're not really.
Well, the very word that they use, they call it a sex act now, don't they? Mm-hmm. Not a sexual relationship.
When was the last time you heard the words making love? Mm. I don't remember it. No. I don't remember anyone saying it, do you?
No.
Only the older people. Mm. But younger people don't actually equate it.
No. No, and when it becomes a sex act and a show, how long's the show going to last for? And how many do you want to show it to? And who's going to be involved? I mean,
that is,
as far as I understand,
going on,
couples don't have a problem now watching pornography together.
That's been the case for a while, by the way.
Has it really?
Yeah.
I can honestly say, from my point of view, never done that, and never even thought about it.
Well, we're led to believe by the poisonous magazines that girls buy that healthy couples should be having sex 3 or 4 times a week. This is rubbish.
It is rubbish.
This is absolute rubbish. Yeah. But of course the girls read that and they feel they've been shortchanged.
Yeah.
Or the guys read it and they feel they've been shortchanged. Mm. But what if it's not true? Well, it doesn't matter. The magazine says it is. Mm. We've had a survey. Yeah. You haven't taken part in this survey, have you? Have you ever taken part in the survey?
Never.
I mean, we don't hear it, do we?
I've been asked to over the phone, but always refused.
I ask them how much they're getting paid. Yeah. And how much am I getting paid for answering, because they don't get paid if I don't get paid. It's even Gallup, isn't it? It's actually Gallup, isn't it? Which fits in with the race knowledge quite well, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And the horses and the fillies and
the bridle.
Yeah.
The bridle and the rein.
Yeah. No, saddle you with that one.
Saddle him. Ride him home, cowboy. It's all for us to discover this language, and it is a joy to discover. And Christmas is coming, and the one day of the year where we try our best not to fall out, and some make it and some don't. Mm-hmm. I said last week, like it really is Christmas every day, but we don't see it that way.
No, we don't.
And the system doesn't let us. I mean, the next day it's the gloves are back on. Mm. It's love for Christmas Day, and put the G back on. You've got glove for Boxing Day. Yeah. It doesn't last long, does it? And yeah, all the people who say the guy, the black and white guy who comes down the chimney and drinks all your booze and eats all your foods and leaves some stuff for the kids. You know, is he the devil in disguise? Well, only if you believe all this stuff. Once you've discovered that subconsciously that's what we've been led to find. Once we take a step back and realise that if we weren't meant to know this stuff, it wouldn't be known. And what we're discovering, in some small part, is what those above us have known for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Because they're the spectator, the observer, the guardian, the telegraph. They know how this works. Yeah. They know how to keep us under control with a sun, moon and star control system
They
and
do.
mirror.
Yeah.
And it is that simple. They've learned this a long time ago now, whether they've got the understanding that you claim you have or we claim we have. There's one thing for sure, they keep quiet about it.
Yeah.
Because knowledge is power, and they don't want us to have anything.
No.
They don't want us to have any at all. The last thing our educators are ever going to teach us to do is to challenge them. So educate yourself. Actually educate yourself.
Yeah.
And make the best of what you have. And don't give your money to people who don't really deserve it.
No.
Vote with your money. You know, what was said to you about something about the people who go to a funeral? What was it?
Yeah. Don't do anything for anybody that won't come to your funeral.
It's fair enough, is that, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's
Only
fair
do it
enough.
for them that'll come to your funeral. The other little thing we've done this year, we've said no big presents. Save your money, spend it on yourself. Get you something yourself you need, and we're just getting little presents. All I ever say to them is, I need socks. Because
We always need socks.
I'm kneeling down a lot.
We always need socks and
I'm
undies.
on my knees, my toes on my socks wear out.
Socks and undies and a nice dress shirt.
Yeah.
There's never a bother with that, is
There
there?
ain't ever
It's
a
never
bother
wrong.
with
It's
that.
never a wrong
And
thing,
the-
is it?
And you don't have to spend a fortune
It's
on
never
stuff
a wrong
like
thing,
that.
is it?
Nip down to your local market. They've got usually 5 pairs for £2. Wrap them up, lovely. It's enough. You don't need all this crap.
Halfway through this journey, no, I'm saying halfway through, a year or 2 or 3 into this journey, you might find yourself a real loner outside the system.
Oh, you do.
Finding it very difficult to include yourself in anything. And I always felt that Christmas was wrong somehow. It was wrong in the way we were doing it, well before I discovered what appears to be, the most likely explanation of how the world really works. I never was comfortable with Christmas. It seemed somehow so fake to me, but I didn't have the understanding and words to say why I thought it was fake. Now I have. So I wasn't wrong, I just didn't know what to do about it. And it made me a bit of he's a grumpy old git. There's always one in there. But over time, my family have started to think, yeah, it is a bit silly, isn't it? We really do actually spend money on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And we should save it and spend it on the things we need and on the things we want to do.
Yeah.
And we should spend time actually, spend a bit of it together, really. If we haven't got each other, what have we got? All that matters is what you've really got and who's going to help you if you need some.
Yeah.
Well, we live such lonely lives. I mean, we are surrounded by people, and most of the time we're on our own, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because they can't help you. They're busy surviving themselves. This is a system of survival first.
Yeah.
And if you're surrounded by poor people, they can't help you really.
No.
They can offer you a shoulder to cry on, but that's all.
That's all, yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, I remember thinking that Christmas is terrible. You shouldn't enjoy Christmas. You shouldn't watch TV. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And I thought, who am I speaking to? Who am I talking to? Life is what you make of it.
It is, yeah.
And if you say, well, I don't want to go with that idea. I want to go with this idea. And it's only then that you start to realise that I'm actually thinking for myself now. Why do these people keep telling me to stop watching TV? Stop celebrating this. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't listen to them. Are they making your life better or making it worse? They're actually telling you that you're a better person by making your life worse.
Yes.
This doesn't make any sense,
It
does
doesn't make
it?
sense, that, no.
The good things that you do is all that people are ever going to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And although karma doesn't actually pay you back in the way you hoped it does, in the long term, you're the one that knows you've done the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's the payback. The payback is that when your days are done and your last chapter's coming up, and no matter whether you believe in the man in the sky or not, before you're done you'll have a little chat to him, just in case he exists. And if you don't have something to offer him, then no matter whether you believe whether he exists or not, you sort of know you're not coming in. You're going to be old, and you're going to be a little frightened of dying, and you know your days are almost over. But everybody has that little conversation in their head. Remember, the voices in your head that we now all accept exist would have got you incarcerated 34 years ago. But now we all want to know, and you and I do it all the time, what have you seen and what does it make you think?
What's it?
And that is asking, what's in here.
Yeah.
Never mind the 5 or 10% that you're just repeating because you've seen it here and seen it there. And it's not what you've used your eyes to see. It's what you've used your brain to make a picture of because you thought and you're thinking for yourself. And that's what we always want to share, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even if this show sounds exactly the same as it did last year, you and I both know we don't feel exactly the same as we did last year.
No, definitely move forward.
We don't feel the same at all.
Yeah.
The message that we have to share for us is the right message. So it's not really going to change a great deal. Whoever you listen to, remember that they're on their journey as well. And are you paying for their journey, or are they walking it? Are they walking the road? Because if you want to travel fast, go alone. But if you want to travel far, go together. And that's what matters. Who do you meet, and how do you greet them, and what do they have to share along the way? And if you're paying for somebody else to travel faster than you, that's exactly what they want you to do. Listening to people on the internet, reading the stories on the internet, it's not going to take you anywhere except round in circles, back to the start, and back for more. Because the real journey is out here, in real life.
Yeah.
Because all you are ever going to be is the sum of your experiences. That's all you're ever going to be. Everything else is somebody else's experience.
It is.
That you're hijacking. What you've done, what you've said, the mistakes you've made, the successes you've had, and the failures you're prepared to accept are your own fault. That's who you are. Everything else is a complete illusion.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that our lives are, in the big scheme of things, of no relevance. But surely, collectively, if we all change something, then wouldn't the world accommodate that change? Isn't that the idea?
It is the idea,
that we speak it into reality, and the world we live in accommodates the change. You've changed, I've changed, but the world around us is similar. So we have to accept that.
Yeah, you do. And effect, it's effects, isn't it? What if and you can put on effects, can't you?
But look at the way the world's changed just 20 years. I mean, I'm not a David Icke fan. He helped me along the way, but now I'm not quite sure what he's up to, but it doesn't matter. Look at David Icke. Look at 20 odd years ago, he was on Wogan. And he said that, he said, well, I suppose, yeah, if I have made it sound like I am the Son of God, but are we not all sons and daughters of God if we believe in God? Our understanding now is, well, if you believe in God, then we all are. But look at the outrage it caused 20 odd years ago. Look at the outrage, look at the ridicule, and look how much he had to suffer because of what he'd said. And now it's, well, yeah, if you believe in God, then we all are. And that's okay. So even though the change doesn't come as fast as we want it to, and sometimes it's not visible for us to see, the changes are coming. The people that I spend time with, the staff that I work with, slowly, the way I speak and the things that I say and my reasoning, it's a slow process. But I know because I hear them repeating what I've said.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense to them too. So even though it's going to take forever, the eternal fight continues.
It does.
And I'm just glad to be part of it. I'm glad to recognise my little part of it and understand that it's not much, but it's more than most.
Yeah.
Because my little different points of view and my ways of putting it into a sentence, for some people, makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
I'm going to wish everybody a happy Christmas, and please don't be offended, because Christmas is what you make it.
It is.
What you do with the 25th of December and the one before it and the one after it,
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
It is.
It's your life, it's your happiness, and it's your chance.
Yeah.
And if you ain't making life better for you, you're not making it for anybody else either. What was it you were meant to do again? Whinge and moan and whine and groan and expect someone to come and save you? You definitely need to go to church, don't you? For another Tuesday. Good night from me.
And good night from me.
I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes, feel it in my toes, yeah. Love is all around me, and so the thing.
I'm afraid you did it again, Bill.
It's just I know the old version so well, you know.
Well, we all do. That's why we're making the new version.
Right, okay, let's go. Start again. I feel it in my fingers, I feel it in my toes.
It's cheesy, isn't it? It's bloody Christmas.
Christmas is
meant
all
to be cheesy.
around me.
We're brilliant at it. That's what the Brits do best. We make some of the cheesiest tunes. And we hate remembering them.
It's written in the wind, so everywhere I go, so if you really love Christmas, come on, let it snow. This is shit, isn't it?
Yep. Solid gold shit, maestro.
Right, we're probably not going to be back actually until January, really. I am busy this next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you for your support all year.
Yeah, thank
All
you
the
very
comments,
much.
we read them all. We try and reply to them all as well.
We do,
But
yeah.
Let's keep going with 2015 and keep moving on. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.